Good evening. Welcome to Real Love Caribbean Style, the show that celebrates love and the pursuit of love. I'm your host, Denise J. Charles. What is this thing called love, and why is it so important to most of us? When we think about the movies that we love to watch, when we think about the books we've read, it seems as if this thing called romantic love is really, really very important to the human experience. But when we think about love in the context of the Caribbean, and we think of it in the context of Barbados, what is perhaps unique about the way we negotiate our love relationships? Do we have a particular brand of love? Do we have a particular way of pursuing a man? Do we perhaps have a particular way of pursuing a woman? Do we have a particular way of negotiating marriage as Bajans, as Caribbean people? We're going to be discussing that and a whole lot more this evening on this show. We're also going to be exploring what some other people think about love and the pursuit of love. So our roving reporter is going to take it to the streets, and she's going to bring some really great points from you viewers out there about what love is all about.
Women want 50-50 in a relationship.
It's a partnership.
Respect, loyalty, all the above. Everything that is good. What we give out is what we want to receive back. We don't want no man to disrespect us, to make us feel less of a woman. If we choose to work, well, at least, encourage us to go to and work and help build a relationship.
Women want a good husband, a good man, right, that can treat them good. Give them everything they want. I know you can't get everything a woman want, but they want a good man in life to settle down with. Get married. Some want house, some want cars, some want money. There's enough things women want, man.
Mostly. Simple. No small penises. Because it makes no sense me dealing with you and you can't satisfy me because I can go ease out. Simple. So that's why sometimes you got to sample the goods before it's, because you don't know what it is that you're getting into, but you always still got to protect yourself.
Women want enough money, 4 or 5 men, thousands of cars. That man can't supply right now.
I don't know what women want, but I would like people to be happy and people to tell the truth when they go into relationships and things.
I need an intelligent man. I have been leaving messages at the library, everywhere I go, that people pass. When you see a man, if he's intelligent, check if he's intelligent and get his number and call me. So far, the library, everywhere, can't find any.
They want security, they want someone that they can rely upon.
To be respected and to be loved. That's the most important thing in a relationship.
Me, I'm single now, but it does be good being single because I was in a relationship and the gentleman left me and married somebody else, you understand? So it's better if you stand by yourself, you see more.
A man that got a brain that could talk and argue and know some philosophy, some history, and got some morals.
For most men, it's trial and error. It's you find something that she likes and you keep doing it, and then you find something that she doesn't like, you stop doing it. Yeah, and I'll tell you something, a piece of good advice for females, say what you want. Don't
could you say that?
Yeah, say what you want. Say what you want.
You're watching Real Love Caribbean Style. Wow, those were some really interesting and exciting opinions about love and relationships. Well, we have a lot more to come because I have a very, very dear couple, because they're dear to me, and a very exciting couple to introduce to you. I want to welcome to our show Christine and David Davis.
Hi.
Welcome to Real Love
you.
Caribbean Style. It's great to have you here with us
Definitely
this evening.
A pleasure to be here.
Nice to be here.
This couple is married, and they're going to be telling us all about their marriage and all the juicy details.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been together?
When I come to dates, she can give all the dates.
All right. I don't necessarily need the exact date. I just
mean time when it comes to anything like that.
He can't remember the time.
Okay.
Or the years.
Yeah.
It's 27 years.
27
years together.
Wow.
And 23 years married.
Excellent. That's
Wow.
good. That's great. And how has this marriage been for you? I know that, as we've been talking about love and what love is like, we often compare love to a journey. You know, it's a journey. It's not a destination. And we know when we are going on a journey, we are going on a trip, we have to get our suitcases packed, we have to book a flight. A lot is involved. What has been involved in this marriage journey for the two of you? I want a bit of the highs and a bit of the lows. Let's start with the lows first.
Well, I'll start by saying.
Okay, no problem.
I'll start by saying that a seed is a tree, but not yet.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta be able to see that seed and, you know, see the tree within that seed.
All right.
And that helps the process because you're looking from where you are and you're projecting to where you want to get.
Okay.
And you've committed yourself, your whole being, to taking this voyage with this individual.
Yes.
And anything that happens along the way, any obstacles, anything, we're willing to work it out.
Right.
Because I want to get that seed to a tree and I want to get the fruit.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I love that image.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're seeing the tree.
Yeah.
When you see the seed.
For sure.
Yeah. So you're seeing the future.
Correct.
Yeah.
So some of the lows, when we met, I mean, like right come from, I never really studied love. I never looked at love. I never even, you know, in my wildest dreams, had any kind of thinking about love.
Okay.
I just was living my life.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted a woman. I knew I wanted a slim, dark woman.
So Christine ticked some boxes.
Yeah, she ticked those initial boxes.
Okay.
At that time in my life, those were the only boxes that I had to tick.
All right, before we go any
dark
further,
woman.
Christine, what was it like for you when you met him? I mean, you know, what did you see in this man, this handsome gentleman here?
Truthfully, when I met him, cause we can be truth.
Yeah.
Of course, we want the truth tonight.
I wasn't in love with him.
Okay.
I saw a man, not in love with him at the beginning.
Yes.
But I saw a man that was different from any other man I met.
Okay.
I saw a man that didn't rush me into the first thing on his mind. I mean, he didn't tell me that, but I mean, the first thing on his mind wasn't about sex.
Okay.
It wasn't about my body.
Yeah.
He was patient. I saw a very humorous man. He made me laugh. And I am the one who went towards him.
Wow, I love that. So you're the one who made the first move.
Yeah.
Wow, that is very, very interesting. How did you feel about that, David? Did you feel this woman forward? Yeah. Nah, you loved it.
I totally.
Okay, great.
Totally. But I mean, after her getting me into her web, you know, after pursuing me, then I thought like this woman trapped me though. For real.
Okay.
Because both of us were young.
Yeah.
And I don't think either of us had bought into the concept of us and we. It was all about I.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And that is
we were still at that
natural.
stage.
That's
where
natural.
It is I.
That's natural
And
at the beginning.
It was a lot of turbulence. A lot of turbulence on both parts.
Okay.
I was young, coming out of Wharton and hooked on gambling and the block and, you know, all these things.
Yeah.
And now I was thrust into a situation where it's now demanding me
a different type of person to emerge.
Us.
Yes.
And that took a little time.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that was a period where she exhibited a lot of patience with me.
Okay. How did you feel? What encouraged you to stick with this man? Because, you know, he's speaking a lot about potential. He spoke about seeing the tree and the seed. And then he spoke about himself, you know, understanding where he came from and having to battle through, you know, understanding what a relationship was going to require of him. What kept you in there?
The most important thing, because I love him.
Okay.
I love him. And as we went along, I could see growth. I mean, we still got our issues, we still have problems, but you know, there was growth coming with us.
Okay, excellent.
So basically, I just love him.
You love him. So it's love that kept you grounded and kept your relationship, that commitment going. You know, David, you've spoken so strongly about yourself and understanding that you needed to grow. You needed to understand what this we, you know, would become.
I think that's one of the most important parts of a relationship.
Yeah, actually it is, because we know when people get married, very often the priest or the pastor would quote those words, the two shall become one.
Yeah.
And you go home thinking, oh, we're now one. But that oneness is really a journey and a process.
Yes, because mathematically two can become one, because if you separate them, it's only half. And I'm a half of mine, you know what I mean? So I can still fight for the things that I want to represent me. And sometimes those things don't align with what her vision of her husband should be. I gotta know when, and I had that conversation today. We all have a right to go out there and do things that make us happy. But if the things that make you happy make the people around you sad, then I don't think those are things you should pursue.
Yeah, how do we bring balance to relationships? Because at the end of the day, each of us will always have a little bit of self-focus in us, and that is perhaps not bad, because we can't forget ourselves. The Bible says you have to love your neighbor as you love yourself, which means that the love of the self is extremely important. Self-love is not something that is trivial. It is absolutely critical to love yourself in order for you to love someone else. But how do you balance it? How do you ensure that does not turn into selfishness, where you're all about you? Well, first, I'm doing me.
First, you got to look at your self-love and analyze it honestly. I talk about a real serious honesty is required to do so.
Yeah.
Because there are some things about myself that when I look in the mirror, I feel like it's good. I like this here, I would do this here again. But really and truly, when I dissect it and I look at it on the microscope,
it's not so good.
Is it something I really want to do for real?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It makes me feel good.
Yeah.
But oftentimes it ain't really good. So I think having that honest conversation with yourself and knowing what is really important. Like for instance, I used to like to line with my friends, and sometimes I might be liming and I tell my friends I going home. Remember, say, my mom used to pog you when you going home. You may no start liming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like liming, but I love my wife. I'm really interested in whether or not we going home.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So like.
But that calls for a certain level of maturity.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing from you is a man who's extremely reflective, a man who does a lot of thinking, a man who does a lot of introspection. And when we think of the way we raise boys and the way we raise girls, when we think of our socialization, our Bajan culture, our way of doing things, we've often heard that boys aren't raised to be in touch with their feelings. You know, you tell a little girl certain things that you don't tell a little boy. I'm talking traditionally speaking. You know, girls have their best friends that they confide everything to, but, you know, boys aren't necessarily raised like that. So when they become men, they aren't comfortable being vulnerable and opening up to other men. But you sound like a man who's fairly in touch with yourself. You think a lot. You reflect a lot. How has that helped you to be a better husband?
First, let me say that a long time ago, I came across this quote, and I like quotes a lot.
Yeah.
It said, if you do the things your father did, you will only get the things your father have.
Right.
So everything I do, I try to do different than my father would have done.
Right.
And I was raised by a single mother. You know what I mean? So family for me is everything. I cannot make the same mistakes my father made and end up. But I mean, like, the destination is predetermined. If you do the things that he did, you can end up in this particular place.
Yes.
I don't want to be there.
Right.
So I doing everything different.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's part of the foundation of how I look at it.
Right. All right, Christine, as a woman, how have you been able to stay committed to your husband? I know you said you love him, and we understand that. But in spite of the challenges that your relationship would have gone through, and perhaps the noises of other female friends and, you know, maybe what people are saying and so on, perspectives of others, maybe family, how have you been able to tune out all of those noises and keep your focus on you and your husband?
I just think it just comes within me.
Okay.
Because I am just a committed person.
Okay, so commitment is very important.
Yeah, like I'm a committed person.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything hard for me to do. One of the things though that I found I practiced was not because I felt weak, but not to have a lot of male friends.
Okay.
Because if I have a problem, for instance, when David was going through an issue, there was a male friend I was talking to, and I would tell him what was happening to us, and through the conversation, one of the things he told me was, you want me to meet you so we can have a bottle of wine.
Wow.
And that then opened up my head again. I'm gonna start with that.
Yeah.
Not like I had anything planned, but
I understand. But that has led us into a very important thing, the need to establish boundaries in relationships, because we live in a world today where we are so open with sharing information. Our lives are open books because we're on social media all the time. You know, people see us together. Whether some of us think, well, that's not reality, it's a pseudo reality because we do a lot of posing and it's not necessarily representative of our real lives. The fact is that it is so easy to access information about us. People see us, they know what we're going through, etc. How do we, in this current age that we live, and everything is so open and accessible, how do we ensure that we create boundaries in our relationship, especially when it comes to people of the opposite sex and friends of the opposite sex? What do you practice? Well, Christine has said what she does.
I got a one-time record in falling at anything.
Okay.
I do it fall twice.
Okay.
You know what I mean? When I was young, I went to touch the urn, I get burned. I touch the urn sinks.
Okay, understood.
I was in a relationship about. I cheated on. I cheated on my wife.
Yes, you can be.
You know what I mean? When I was extremely young, immature, went through a whole cyclone of feelings, and trying to work with stuff. I found myself in a place that I would never want to be there again.
Yes.
I mean, that is the hot urn that I ain't getting burned by again.
Wow.
Anytime I approach in a situation, I can feel the heat from that urn. I run it hard.
But you talked about men, some of your male friends not understanding, well, you're not liming past a certain point.
Right.
You want to get home to be with your wife. I mean, how could you, as a man who has grown, offer advice to other men with respect to their need to be committed in their relationships?
Well, I could continue living and showing people that love do exist. This unity between my wife and I'm looking forward to celebrating 60, 70 years together. You know what I mean? I'm still feeling the same way about her.
Fantastic.
So I could continue living and continue speaking about love and the fact that love still exists. A lot of people have given up on love.
That's right.
Yeah. And they talk a lot of young people like, we get married, that happening. Nah. You know what I mean? But I got a story to tell. I got a story to tell because I tell people all the time. People ask me, how can you be married to a woman so long and still be in love? And I tell them, the woman that I'm married to know any woman that I met. Because if she's the same person that she's a long time.
Yeah.
But I experienced the growth.
That development.
I experienced the development. We come through.
Can I say, I would have done to you also.
Right, we would have done already.
Right.
Yeah,
the feeling is mutual.
Understood.
Mutual. Yeah.
So I say so to say that love and relationships is like a school.
Yes.
When you're in first form, you spend some time in first form. At the end of that period, there's an exam. Once you pass that exam, those problems are no longer problems. If you still in second form again, first form problems, should stop doing life. You understand? So as it relates to love, if I still going through 25, 26 years in the same problems that we were having when I was first, second, 10th year in, it means that I haven't shown any growth.
Yes. And that growth is important. And
Very,
that's
very, very important. And that's what keep love alive, because even now.
I love you said keep love alive. What are some of the things you do to keep the fire burning between the two of you? Because I know from the pics I see with the two of you, I can see that there's still some heat in the oven.
This oven get exploded, just know.
All right.
This oven get exploded.
Make sure we have our date night.
We do date night.
Yeah, because he's busy on social media, busy with work. I too busy with work, but I mean, he's busy a lot on social media, and we had to come to a point that we have to at least have
an understanding.
Yeah, one day a week just between us.
No, very
go on
good.
a date. Although, I can't get him to. I can't find it to put the phone down.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but we're. But we supposed to be being truthful here.
Yeah, we being truthful. And I ain't gonna call that.
But it wasn't part of the part that
you're out together at least. Yeah,
he makes sure that it do happen.
Yeah. Sometimes my husband and I go and we still have our phones too, but we're not slaves to the phone. But how we get around it sometimes is that we would share what is on the phone with each other. So you saw this, you saw this,
I take between food and
but you try to bring some level of control to it. Yeah.
Right.
You're right.
Yeah.
I love what I'm seeing. I love what I'm hearing. And David, this is totally unscripted, but I want you to look at your wife right now, and I want you to tell her what she means to you.
But she put me in this position.
In really a position to be in. I mean, she means everything to me. I was a ship in the turbulent ocean.
Yes.
Being guided by the waves, the current. I could have ended up any place, and then my ship was boarded by a captain that had the that had the ability to steer my ship in the right direction, and here I am with you. So like, you know what I mean? You mean everything to me.
Spontaneous from the heart. Wow, love it, love it, love it. This is real love, Caribbean style. You're watching Real Love Caribbean Style. Welcome to our segment, Singles Say. We can't have a discussion about love, sex, and relationships without hearing how those who may not yet be married, how they feel about relationships and how they feel about their own individual journeys so far to this place called Ideal Love. Does it even exist? Well, we're going to find out. I have right now as my guest Miss Janine White. Janine, it's nice to have you here. Janine is a theater arts practitioner. And we have Marcus Myers. I hope I pronounced that right.
Myers, yeah.
Myers.
Close enough.
Known for the blog, I Ain't Know. Right?
How you know my last name, right? Exactly.
I Ain't Know.
Just like that.
Right. I'm so pleased to have you both here with us this evening. Thanks so much for joining us.
No problem.
I want you to give me a sense of what has it been like for you in the pursuit of love. I don't necessarily need to know right now where you are. I don't need to know that yet. But I want to know, generally speaking, how has it been like in that journey towards finding that ideal person, that someone special? Who's going to go first?
Ladies first?
Janine.
Okay, well, so far, I must say so far so good.
Okay.
It always is an interesting journey, I find, especially trying to find, first of all, what is your version of ideal love.
That's right.
So it's interesting that you would use the word ideal to even capture the concept. And I think it is something that is very specific.
Yes. Okay.
And I must say I have not had any of the horror stories that you would read in Cosmopolitan magazines and all of the things that you would see in Lifetime episodes. So mine was relatively a straightforward journey, I would have to say.
And what have you accounted for that? I mean, is it your personality? Is it that you're easy to get along with? You're easy to please? You're not, you don't have this long list?
I am very far from easy to please.
Okay.
Very, very far from easy to please. But I must say that it has been, I would tell anybody, it has been the influence of my father.
Excellent.
In terms of setting what you should expect, what you should accept from anybody.
Wow.
That has been all my father. And growing up in a family that has been, it's mainly men. I have one aunt from both mother and father's side, and I have many male cousins, and they have set the pace for me.
That is excellent. That is excellent.
For me, they set the standard, and I knew what I would tolerate
and what I wouldn't.
Excellent.
Now, we want to stick a pin there, and we want to head to Marcus, because Marcus, what Janine has in essence said is that her socialization, what she would have been exposed to, the values, and the men in her life more or less set the benchmark for what she would look for in a partner. What role do you think that socialization plays? How has it been for you? Do you have a similar story, or is yours very different?
I had this conversation with a friend the other day, and they were saying that being in a nuclear family can somehow be a disadvantage, because you have this idea of what you think a family should be, and you would aspire to have that family, and anything that isn't like that is not good enough. And then, so you meet up a lot of people that don't really have that same family structure. They didn't live in that family structure. It would still work, but you wouldn't give it that you won't be patient with them simply because you're looking for this. And this is from like the movies. You white picket fence, the dog, the everything.
But is structure the same thing as value in terms of what that individual would contribute to a relationship? For example, it is often said that a son who treats his mother well will make an excellent husband.
I know what that is, but well, all right.
It is often said that, there's a connection between a boy who's raised to treat all the females in his life, not just his mother, his grandmother, his sisters, if he has, that he will make excellent husband material.
Okay.
And a similar thing is perhaps said for girls as well. what is often said for girls is that they look for a man who's similar to their father, especially if the father had very positive traits. So I don't want us to necessarily zero in on the structure, like the nuclear family, husband, wife, 2 kids. But I'm thinking more of the culture of the home, the practices. Yeah.
Well, for me, in my pursuit of love, like, this thing like playing lotto, bruh. That's truth, bruh. That's truth. Like, okay, so say like you play lotto, right? You have to get all 8 numbers right. Right? If you get 7 right, then you walk away with nothing.
Right.
If you gotta get all 8. So you're dealing with a girl, right? She is a nice person, come from a nice home, blah blah blah. She ex-man is a fool though. Now we gotta deal with him though. And now that overshadows all the other things that good about she. Right?
Now you are introducing a whole other element. The whole question of the extent to which our previous relationships can impact how we navigate a new relationship.
But that's only one thing. But now it could go down your list. Okay, so the woman good. She ain't gonna ex-man issues, right? Come from a good family, blah blah blah. God child. I go do what?
But Marcus, that may be because you want to win. You want to ensure that you get all of your numbers, and you want to get the top prize.
Don't I deserve that? Shouldn't I aspire to that in life to get the top prize?
To it, but
I don't want second place.
How many persons?
Who comes second?
The thing is, relationships are dynamic, and life is dynamic as well. I mean, it is like a potpourri of different combinations. It's very, very, very multifaceted. So when we look at relationships and the approach to relationships, we have to apply that principle. We're not going to necessarily get a relationship that is lined up straight. And because it's not lined up straight, it does not mean that it is bad.
So then my question to you is, what's the difference between that and settling? How do you know when you're settling?
I think why am I answering your question? I'll answer it nonetheless. You know that you're settling when you have settled for someone that does not tick your most important boxes.
Correct.
Because we're going to have a number of boxes. Some of them are going to be the ones that are very, very important, and some are going to be the ones that are not deal breakers and we can ignore.
We can tolerate.
You understand? We can tolerate. We can learn to compromise.
Agreed.
But then there are those significant things that, and I think you're settling when you throw away your expectations. So Marcus, do you have any specific deal breakers when it comes to females? Is it that she just must have 2 legs, 2 breasts? Is there anything else?
That's not bad.
One brand
that works.
I'm serious.
Deal breakers for me, I'm big on compatibility.
Okay.
Right? And that is not everything, and I understand that. But for me, I care more about a long-term partnership than anything else. I like somebody that I could. I know that this is something everybody say. I want somebody I could build with. I want somebody that I could throw ideas.
But that's very important.
I know it is important, but then they got other things too. Like for example, like little small things. Well, not small things, but like whether or not they can like handle responsibility and whether or not they actually take on responsibility as opposed to run from it, that kind of thing. Those kind of things, like, there's small other things, but in terms of compatibility, like personality, that's a big thing for me.
Janine, what about you? How do you see this as a woman?
Well, going back even to Marcus's thing about having to check all the boxes and get all the numbers to win the prize, the jackpot.
Yeah.
I know there is nobody that will check all your boxes.
Excellent.
So point. I want to say that I definitely agree with you in terms of there are certain things that are your priorities.
Right.
And those are the ones that you cannot compromise on.
Yeah. Can't skimp on those.
No, you cannot. But there are other things that the person may get 6 out of 8. And those 2 maybe minor things, so then you can say we work together and we will become compatible, we will compromise, and we'll get to what is our ideal setting in our relationship. And those 2 that the person may be ideally missing are things that are paramount to you. So you definitely, for sure, if I was to go with that person, I would then be settling. So for me, it is what are the things that I can tolerate and still have a healthy relationship.
Marcus said something very important when he spoke about building with someone, having someone that you can build with. And you may start a relationship and you may think that building with someone is automatic, but there are actually hindrances or roadblocks that can prevent that building, where one of you may be growing at a faster rate than the other, or one may be growing and the other one not growing at all, and that can spell danger for the relationship. You know, how can we navigate around something like that when you actually really love this person, but you recognize that they're not growing with you?
And there are those of us that don't want to grow. I know I was in a relationship and I could see the potential in this person, and I knew that maybe if they did this, maybe applied for this, maybe did 2 more qualifications, and that comes from, I believe, your initial idea when you go out there dating that this is going to be very fairy tale like, and we all will have our ups and downs, and eventually I will be saved by Prince Charming, and we will live happily ever after. And so to create that ideal person, you then create an image of what this person should be. And many times when that happens and you are so focused on making this person your Prince Charming, you forget, you don't even realize that you are then wasting away, and then you are eventually settling because you're trying to create this person into the ideal person for you, and it really is not.
That's right. And you need to recognize that you're not Jesus. You're not God. You cannot save anyone.
Correct.
You know, you can't save anyone. People have to want to change for themselves.
But it doesn't sound like you're like negotiating what is best for you before you even look for it. It sounds like before you even go out there and say, like, let me get my Prince Charming, that is for a woman, not me, because, you know. But yeah, it seems to me as though before you even get to the dating game, it's like, nobody can ever check how your boxes, so whoever out there and check 5 or 6, let me go for that. Meanwhile, there's a man out there that is it. So like why not take the risk and look for somebody that is the best suit for you?
I think it is a bit of both. You know, I don't think that you should go out there thinking that I'm never going to find what I'm looking for. I think it is important to have a positive mindset. And yes, it is important to have those things that are deal breakers ticked off and so on. But at the end of the day, you still have to be able to work each individual situation for its merit. Because you might find a man, you might have said, for you, having a professional man might have been it. But then you might find a man who's not a professional man, but he's absolutely wonderful in every other way. Right. You know, so that's a very individual thing.
You know what I learned tonight? That your husband doesn't check all the boxes.
Which ones?
I mean, yeah,
well, he absolutely checked all of them for me.
Oh, so maybe I am not like.
But that does not mean that the man is perfect. It does not mean that the man is perfect. Okay. You see, because checking all the boxes for me does not mean that he's perfect. Right. But it means that the things that really mattered, right? You know, he met those things. Yes. Right. You know, and I think that's what we mean when we say that.
Okay. But yeah, well maybe I think there are times that I have tried to find somebody that kind of did be all of that, and maybe that made me walk away from things that I probably shouldn't have. I don't know.
How have you grown in your relationship journey? How has Marcus changed or developed or grown wiser?
I haven't actually. I'm still the same way I was when I was 17 years old.
That explains everything.
No. How have I grown? I've grown to understand the push and pull of a relationship. That there are times when you have to play the dominant role, and there are also times you have to fall back. So for example, there was a time when I was in a relationship where I was the only person working. She was not. She was still in school. So then I kind of had to pull my weight, right? But then eventually, when she started working, I fall back and she paid on me. If you're going out to restaurants and big man, you go like, boom, right? But that's just how we were. We understood that we played a certain position. We knew when, you know, somebody got to steer the ship when somebody else doesn't. Yeah. Right. So
a kind of tango y'all developed where y'all knew what each person was.
Yeah. And I think that some people try to like force their way into controlling everything, as opposed to trusting their partner to do what they can do as well.
What advice would you give for those out there who are still looking for love and they feel a little bit disillusioned? Maybe they've been hurt, you know, maybe they think there's nobody out there for me, I can't find my Mr. Right. What would you say to that woman?
Definitely not to give up. Keep searching, and certainly do not lower your standard. As you said, try to have those things that you are hard on. Your hard and your critical ideals, don't ever dissolve them for anybody. And there are too many people in this world not to find somebody that will make you excited and happy to be in a relationship. So don't ever give up.
Thanks, Marcus. The book on women hasn't been finished yet, and I don't think it's going to finish anytime soon. The last time I checked, it was really this big.
Really?
What advice do you have to give for your guy friends out there who are thinking, I can't even get through the first 20 chapters of this book, and there are thousands of chapters left to go? They don't understand women. And
that's a good question.
Are you there? Are you lost somewhere as well? But what advice would you give to those guys?
Well, but I would say patience is a virtue, and you have to always practice patience, because just because somebody doesn't understand something today doesn't mean they won't understand it tomorrow. And people are in different places of their journey of understanding certain things. So there are times when you're going to be with somebody, and you may butt heads about something, and you may not understand where your partner is coming from, but you just have to be patient, and you have to trust. If I could just be honest with you right now.
Of course, be honest.
I have this theory, right, that, like, this is the most agnostic time that we've ever been in the world, right? People aren't as religious as they were before. We don't have faith in a God, right?
Some people.
As a lot of us, a lot more, a lot
I
less than
understand what
before,
you're saying.
right?
We kind of live in a post-Christian society.
Right.
Yeah.
We lost faith in, and I feel like we lost faith in people as well. I feel like faith is something that is missing. And that's something that's missing from a lot of relationships. And faith all around. Faith in yourself, faith in the person you're with. And I feel as though we need to put more faith in ourselves and faith in the choice that we made with the partner that we chose. Right? And we need to just be faithful and, be willing to understand them. Yeah.
Well, I'm all for faith. I'm all for faith. Even having faith in God to help you choose the right partner. I think that plays a really big part in our happiness.
Right. Well, I got faith, and I don't know, boy. You're taking time. Jeez, man.
I want to thank both of you for joining me for Real Love Caribbean Style. We've had our guests in this segment, Single Say, Janine White and Marcus Myers. They've been sharing from their heart how they feel about relationships and how they feel about the pursuit of love. You're watching Real Love Caribbean Style. And now we are in our third segment, Couple Quiz Time. How well do you know your relationship? Our couple, they're going to be given 6 questions, and they have 60 seconds to answer these questions. We don't know how they're going to do it, so I'm just going to hand them the slip of paper and the pencil, and they will have 60 seconds. We're going to see how well they really know each other, how well they know this relationship. And now to our answers. Let's see. Question 1. What year did you meet and who made the first move?
They said she made the first move and we met in 1984.
Was he right?
I made the first move we made in 1993.
1993. Oh, he's just out by 1 year.
Yeah.
Crucify him for that. Question 2. When you kissed for the first time, where were you?
The experience was so mind-boggling that I can't remember where it was. Nah, I said I was at her house.
Yeah, he right watching.
Okay, great. Okay, you get away with that one. Okay. What is your favorite couple pastime?
In these days, they see drinking Hennessy and cola tonic.
Dinner.
Dinner. Okay, that's close enough. You can drink Hennessy and cola tonic while having dinner.
Right.
Yeah,
That
can work.
I thought it would feel this, yeah.
If your relationship was like a love song, which song would it be?
Love will go on.
Can't
She
live
hates
without.
that song.
Can't live without you.
Okay, those two songs do go well together, even though it's not the same song. They're still very similar. Who gives in first after an argument?
No, I didn't get to answer this one, but this would have been a very difficult question to answer because we get on kneel, both of us.
Okay.
Until it subside at some point.
Okay. Nobody
Can't
gives in
go on
first.
hitting one another forever.
Christine, how do you answer that question? You give in first.
No, she was
you give in first.
She give in first. Just like she gave in there just now.
Well, we actually had 5 questions and not 6, so
Yeah.
I think you did fairly well. So yeah, give yourselves a round of applause.
I feel really good with that because I thought it would feel horribly.
You do know yourselves, and you do know your
That's
relationship.
really good. Yes, a Barbie.
Love. Thanks so much for joining us for this edition of our show. We had a really great discussion where we looked at love and its importance in our lives. What is our super takeaway? Great love can be found. Commitment can be found. We just need to take the time to look. I want to give a very special thanks to my guests this evening, Janine White and Marcus Myers, as well as our very special couple, Christine and David Davis. Remember to follow me on Instagram at Denise J. Charles. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Living with Dr. Denise J. Charles. And you can also log on to my blog, Love Story 246 at wordpress.com, where you're going to find great articles on love, sex, and relationships. Something that we focus a lot on in our discussions this evening is the need to take care of the self and love the self. And I have a new book out which is going to help you to do just that. It's called Tonight I'm a Butterfly, Celebrating Seasons of Change. It's a book of 61 inspirational readings guaranteed to help you to be a better person, to live life with purpose, and to just love yourself so that you can bring that quality to any relationship. Thanks so much for joining us for this edition of Real Love Caribbean Style. I'm Denise J. Charles. Good evening.